Let's talk about the Detroit Lions because this team is in a very good situation. Yes, they just lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship, but you look at the talent with this team, they have a lot of it. Jared Goff proved that he could be a franchise quarterback with this team long term. He was making tough throws throughout the entire season, and especially against the San Francisco 49ers. And they have a dominant rushing attack as well. They have been in contact with Jared Goff's agent this entire season, even going back to the start of last offseason. They're going to bring him back. They're going to come down to a certain number that both sides agree with, and they're going to pay Jared Goff. He's going to be with this team for the foreseeable future. And I like the running backs of this team as well. David Montgomery missed some time this season, but he's a very good running back. It shows you how he was misused with the Chicago Bears. 1,015 rushing yards on the season and 13 rushing touchdowns. And Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy that you selected in the first round. Over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, 945 rushing yards on the season, 10 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry. He is very explosive. You have a good 1-2 punch right there. And Craig Reynolds got some solid carries this season as well. He had a good game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had the rushing touchdown in the playoff game. I think Craig Reynolds is a very good number 3 running back with this team. But as long as you have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, that change of pace is going to give a lot of teams trouble. David Montgomery is the guy that can run in between the tackles, while Jahmyr Gibbs can run in between the tackles, and he can take it from the outside as well, and he has that great sideline-to-sideline speed. I love their offense. And speaking of their offense, Coach Johnson is coming back for one more season. I love that move. Coach Johnson is one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL today. You also have Aaron Glenn with this team coming back as well at the defensive coordinator spot. I love their coaching staff. Dan Campbell does do a lot of gutsy things here and there that make you scratch your head or even make you want to pull your hair out, but he is a very good head coach with this team. Look at what they've been able to build the last 3 seasons with Dan Campbell. And you were just in the NFC Championship. And I'm not saying that next season that they're going to be in the NFC Championship or in the Super Bowl per se. But this is a team that is going to go out there and be one of the top teams in the NFC and one of the top teams in their division as well. I don't want to sleep on the Green Bay Packers too much, but you look at the Detroit Lions with the young pieces that they have, you continue to let those guys grow, you can be in a great situation. And I haven't even spoke of Amon-Ra St. Brown just yet, one of the best wide receivers in the game as well. He is due for a contract extension very soon as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 1,515 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. The true number 1 wide receiver with this team and the true number 1 target with this team. You had Sam Laporta, who's on a rookie deal as well. 889 receiving yards on the season, 10 receiving touchdowns. A phenomenal playmaking tight end for this team. And you look at a guy like Jameson Williams, missed a lot of time in his rookie season because he was recovering from that ACL injury that he suffered in college at Alabama. In his second year, he missed some games because of a gambling issue. Jameson Williams has all-world potential to be a very good wide receiver with this team. And he's already making an impact with this team. He hasn't played that many games with this team just yet, and he's still a very young football player. You give him a full, true season, there is no reason to why this man cannot crack over 800 to 900 receiving yards or even 1,000 receiving yards in the season with that speed that he has. You saw the great plays that he was making against the San Francisco 49ers. He can make that on a consistent basis if they use him correctly, if he can stay healthy, and he can stay out of trouble. And for the most part, he did all of that in the back half of the season. He was a healthy wide receiver, and the gambling issue, I believe, is just a one-time thing with this kid. He has great character. And when you hear about coaches speaking of him off the field, he's a very good person as well, from what coaches are saying. And I trust Jameson Williams a lot. Just because he's not showing up in the stat sheet, getting over 100 yards receiving in the game, doesn't mean that he's not having a true impact on the game. He runs a lot of routes in the seams, a lot of deep routes down the field, and that opens up things for guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. They benefit a lot off of that in such a way to where you have to put Amon-Ra St. Brown in single coverage, because if you put him in double coverage, you're putting Jameson Williams in one-on-one contact like how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in the regular season, and he just went straight down the field and he burned the safety. He can do those type of things for you. So get this kid going. If he can continue to develop, this offense is in great shape. And you look at the offensive line from tackle to tackle, they're damn near perfect. They can run the ball deep down the field. They can stand up there. They can pass protect as well for Jared Goff, because so many people have said this before about Jared Goff. If you do not give him a clean pocket, he's not the same quarterback. He can't do things on the run. This season, he did very good against pressure, very good against the blitz, and he was making some throws on the run as well. Some things that he didn't do when he was with the Los Angeles Rams because he has developed as a true passer with this team inside and outside the pocket. Not saying that he is able to go out there and make throws like Patrick Mahomes, but he's a guy that has gotten better in the system with Ben Johnson. Just continue to let him flow through things, and he should still be developing as well because Jared Goff is still a very young quarterback in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for quite some time, but this is a guy that's not retiring anytime soon, and he could be reaching his prime right now with this team. The biggest thing that bothers me with the Detroit Lions would be their defense. And it's not even their rushing defense. Their rushing defense was phenomenal this season. They had the second best rushing defense in the NFL. You had the third total offense, and their passing defense, this is when things get a little shaky right here. When you're 26 and passing defense in the NFL in the regular season, that's going to hurt your team. They paid Cameron Sutton a lot of money in free agency when he came over for the Steelers to be a true #1 cornerback with this team. He had a bad season this season with this team. Yes, he had 6 pass deflections, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. He's a #2 to #3 corner at best. They don't have that true #1 corner right now. I like Brian Branch a lot in the secondary. He's a guy that can play some slot corner, nickel corner, can play some safety for you. He's going to be a superstar on the defensive side a lot. He had the major play with that pick 6 in the first game of the season against the Kansas City Chiefs. But when I look at Cameron Sutton, man, if he's going to be your true #1 corner next season, you're going to be in some trouble. I'm not saying cut him from the team, but he looked horrible in the playoffs, and on the back half of the season, he couldn't cover anyone. CJ Gardner-Johnson missed a lot of time this season, dealing with a torn pec. But he did have 1 interception and 3 pass deflections. You can bring him back as well. He brings a lot of energy to this team. Kirby Joseph, I like his game a lot as well. But they need some more consistent players in the secondary. Primarily, they need some guys to be some playmakers in the secondary. If you can have some ball hawks in the secondary, you'll be in an amazing situation. Imagine how this team would look if you give this offense 2 to 3 more chances in a game by just coming up with clutch stops on 3rd down. And you can say Aaron Glenn wasn't using guys properly. He did everything he could to give Cameron Sutton help, where it was just having rotating safeties like how they did late in the game against Mike Evans, or just try to put guys in double coverage just to help out Cameron Sutton. Cameron Sutton is just not a good corner with this team, especially when he's guarding #1 wide receivers. And like I mentioned before, the defensive linemen with this team, they're solid enough. Aiden Hutchinson is the best player on this defense. He had 8 sacks in the last 4 games, minus the game against the San Francisco 49ers. 11.5 sacks on the season, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. He's a true playmaking defensive end. We're going to look at this kid as being in the same light with guys like TJ Watt or Myles Garrett if he can continue his play like this. But he's one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL today. Can stop the run, can get to the passer, and you can flip him back in coverage as well. He's a great defensive player with this team, and they definitely hit on selecting him in the 1st round a year ago. I love his game. Liam McNeil is a solid defensive tackle as well, and I love Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is a guy that's going to come in and just be a thumper at that linebacking spot. And he was just a rookie this season. 2 sacks, 52 solo tackles. You like to see him do some more things and pass coverage, but I do think as we get along in his career, he will get better at that. But even in college, he was a very good playmaking linebacker in terms of stopping the run with that sideline to sideline speed. And Derek Barnes had a very good playoff run with this team as well. They do need more help on the pass rushing side. You have James Houston, who missed a good portion of this season, but James Houston last season, the season before, had 8 snaps. He had 8 sacks, 8 sacks on the season, and he was a rotational piece with this team. He put his hands in the dirt. He'll just go and get the quarterback. He can be awesome alongside Aiden Hutchinson if he can stay healthy. They should still go out there and try to get some more defensive help in free agency. And to be completely honest with you, that's where majority of their money needs to go. When they pay Amon-Ra St. Brown, when they pay Jared Goff, go into the NFL draft a cornerback, or just going through free agency and try to get a cornerback as well. Matter of fact, just draft your cornerback. I know you look at a guy like Jeff Okudah a couple years ago, he didn't work out with this team, but that's a different Detroit Lions team. I think right now they're starting to hit on their pieces, especially on the offensive end. You had Jack Campbell, who was making plays, Sam Laporta, who was making plays, Jahmyr Gibbs, who was making plays as well. All those guys are rookies. And look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. You drafted him. Penei Sewell. drafted him. So the general manager has done a terrific job with how he's been able to go out there and draft guys and get this team going in the right direction. I think that this team is going to be in a great situation moving forward with Dan Campbell. I have extra confidence in them moving forward as well, with Ben Johnson coming back and also with Aaron Glenn as well, because usually when you have some major changes on the coaching staff, the team takes a step back. I understand what Dan Campbell said in the locker room and what he said in that press conference. He just came out and said, look, we may not be in this situation ever again, but the fact that we got here, I'm proud of you guys. I think they can get back into that situation. They were just a couple of plays away from beating the San Francisco 49ers and being in the Super Bowl. Go out there, work on that defense, give Aaron Glenn some more playmakers in the back end of that defense and that secondary. You reload this team. There is no reason why the Detroit Lions can't be a top team in the NFC. Right now, they look better than the Philadelphia Eagles. The San Francisco 49ers, you can't say are better than them, but they were close in that game as well. I believe that this team is better than the Dallas Cowboys. They had the Dallas Cowboys beat until the Dallas Cowboys had a controversial call that went their way. They basically cheated this team. So you add all that up with some of the other top dogs in the NFC, they're right there. And if they're not right there, they're better than those teams because you have those playmakers on the offensive end. Their offense alone will make them a major contender moving forward. You fix this defense, amazing situation. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Detroit Lions? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.